is Alyssa.
I'm Sophia.
And we're both students at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. So we flew up to D.C. today from Nebraska. And we're just excited to be able to support other women and other people that have been affected by sexual violence and sexual assault and bringing awareness to that, especially with the national heat that's happening right now with Kavanaugh's nomination. And I think ultimately we're just wanting to be here to raise a voice about everything that's going on and just bring awareness to it.
Yeah, I think that his nomination has affected both of us kind of in different ways, and we've seen the way it's affected other women and other men and people across the nation, and we kind of just want to be a part of something that can include ourselves and position ourselves in a place where we can have our voices heard.
Is this your, have you been protesting out in Nebraska, or is this your first kind of thing that you've come out to?
Yeah, I know we both attended women's marches, especially in 2016 after the election. We went out to those in Lincoln, in front of like our state capitol.
We participated in the End Rape on Campus walks like every year.
Yeah, so different things like locally in Lincoln we have.
Do you feel that like he's bad, or what he's been accused of necessarily that you're calling out here? Or is it just the general conversation around this?
Yeah, I think just the general narrative and just the conversations that have come up from it, from both opposing sides, I think has been troubling in itself, and just analyzing it from like a nonpartisan lens has been interesting. And I think overall, like, I'm just troubled by, these allegations coming forward and people, still not to this day believing survivors of sexual assault, even when they will go out and say, with everything on the line that this is what has happened to them, but yet we still are unable to believe these women and just people that are brave enough to talk about terrible things that have happened to them.
I think it's very unhealthy for a lot of politicians and people in general to kind of just debunk everything that survivors say, because it takes a lot of courage to come out, especially on such a large scale that Dr. Ford has, and to have that courage and that vulnerability in front of an entire nation of people, entire world of people, takes a lot to do. It takes a lot to tell your friends or your parents or anyone that's what's happened to you. So to tell the entire world is just really brave, and it's unhealthy for the entire, or even half of the world to just be that's not true, she's lying. And some people still want to nominate Kavanaugh even if what happened was true, and that's also very disgusting and super disheartening to hear.
Because a lot of the conversations around the main accusation happened when he was 17, and then it kind of comes down to it shouldn't be held for things that he did back then. I mean, you're not far off from that age.
No.
What do you feel about that idea that something this extreme? It's not, it's not the drinking at parties that they're having problems with. It's not, beyond lying under oath and everything like that. But also, what do you think about just the idea that you just, as long as you get away with it, 20 years from now, you're fine with whatever you're doing.
I feel like at some point the line needs to be drawn, and I think this is such a large circumstance that the precedent could be set for future cases in America. And I think to ignore it even just because he was young and 17 is just completely absurd, because that's sending a message to so many young women, so many young people that are affected by sexual assault that, if you don't speak up in the next 5 years, then your voice and your story is not going to be heard. And I think that's really important, because a lot of people that fall victim of sexual assault don't have the courage or just don't feel comfortable enough to talk about it right away. So I think this is such an important moment and a watershed moment for women across the nation, across the world, and I just really hope that we draw the line here.
Yeah. It's not okay to elect someone into such an honor title as being a part of the Supreme Court, and to see our own president defend him to such regards to even making fun of Dr. Ford is terrible. It brings just such a disgust to myself, because I can't believe that we live in a world where we don't prioritize that kind of stuff for women. We don't prioritize the things that happen to us, and it's not fair. It doesn't matter if he did it when he was 17, you know. I'm 20. I'm 3 years away from that. That doesn't matter to me. When I was 17, I knew better. I know I had friends that knew better. People know better. They're not stupid, you know. That's an old enough age.
Because he didn't just go after her believability after saying multiple times that she was believable and that she was a good witness and everything. But he also then took it a step, and several other senators as well, saying that now young men, like
Are in danger.
your age and younger, need to be worried. Are any of your friends, your male friends, freaking out, like not talking to women, or?
I think
that the male friends that we surround ourselves would never have to worry about that. But I think if you're worried, then there's a reason for it, and you know that, if you did something, you did something, even like they know. And I think that it's a lot of times that it takes a certain point for them to lie to themselves, to be like, maybe it wasn't like that, maybe that's not how it actually was, to kind of convince themselves that that's not something that they could possibly do, even though, ignorance is an excuse to sexually assault someone.